What if I told you the secret to a company's success isn't really about its strengths, but its weaknesses? Or, let's be more precise, the weaknesses it chooses to have. Yeah, sounds kind of weird, right? Well, today we're diving into the super counterintuitive power of no in business strategy. Let's get right into it.
Think about the last time you saw a business really struggling. Your first thought is probably, oh, they just weren't good enough, or, their product wasn't strong enough. But honestly, more often than not, that's not the real story.
That's the real killer. Confusion. Just a total lack of a clear identity and a clear direction. They try to be absolutely everything to everyone. And, well, in that process, they end up becoming nothing special to anyone at all. So this brings us to our first big idea, what I like to call the strategy illusion. It's this really seductive belief that more is always the answer. More features, more customers, more markets. But as we're about to see, that kind of thinking is often a direct path to failure. This right here is the trap of yes in action. A company says yes to every single potential customer, yes to every little feature request, yes to every market opportunity that pops up. And here's the crazy part. By saying yes to all that, you're actually saying no to having a real strategy. I mean, you can't be the cheapest, the most luxurious, and the most innovative all at the same time. It's just not possible. If you chase everything, you're gonna win at nothing. Okay, so if saying yes to everything is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's the simple, but believe me, incredibly difficult power of no. This is where we make a huge shift, going from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. We start defining our strategy by what we deliberately choose to leave out. And that is the absolute essence of strategic positioning. This isn't some fluffy mission statement you hang on a wall, it's a set of really hard choices. It's about deciding where you're going to play, how you're going to win, and, this is the big one, which battles you are just going to walk away from. That last part, deciding who not to serve, that's where the real strategic power is forged. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day, right? On the left, you've got the company that avoids making these hard choices. They end up confused, their brand gets totally diluted, and everything becomes inefficient and complex. But on the right, the company that embraces trade-offs gets clarity and a super strong identity. Why? Because when you choose not to do something, you free up all your resources to be truly excellent at the things you do choose to do. Trade-offs aren't a sign of weakness. They are the foundation of a focused strength. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some brand new idea. The legendary strategist Michael Porter put it perfectly. Strategy isn't about being the best, it's about being different. And being different, well, that requires making some tough choices, or as we're calling them, trade-offs. So what do these trade-offs actually look like in the real world? Well, we can kind of break them down into three main buckets. First up, you've got operational trade-offs. This is all about the how. So a company like Zara, for example, trades off timeless quality for unbelievable speed to market. Their whole supply chain is built for fast fashion, not for clothes that'll last a lifetime. Then there are strategic trade-offs. This is the what and the where. This is Tesla betting its entire future on electric vehicles, saying a hard no to the huge, profitable world of gasoline cars. It's a massive choice about the business model itself. And finally, you've got brand trade-offs. This one's all about the who. Rolex deliberately chooses to be exclusive and crazy expensive, basically saying no to 99% of the watch market just to build this insane desire with the other 1%. Every single no just makes their unique identity that much sharper. All right, enough with the theory. It's great, but let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. We're going to look at some legendary brands that built their entire empires on the simple foundation of saying no. Let's start with an absolute classic, Southwest Airlines. For decades, they have been one of the most consistently profitable airlines out there, in an industry that is notoriously brutal. So, how'd they do it? It's all about a series of brilliant trade-offs. They said no to meals, no to assigned seating, no to flying to every single major airport hub. Instead, they focused like a laser on just a few things, using only one type of plane to make maintenance way simpler, turning those planes around at the gate incredibly fast, and keeping their employees happy. Every single no made their yes that much more powerful, which in their case was all about low fares and reliable service.
Okay, now let's jump from the skies right into our living rooms. Let's talk about that Swedish furniture giant we all know, IKEA.
Oh man, IKEA's strategy is just a masterclass in trade-offs. They said no to assembling the furniture for you, no to having endless customization options, no to fancy showrooms with tons of salespeople hovering around,
And because they said no to all that, they were able to say a massive, resounding yes to stylish, affordable design for pretty much everyone, all delivered in that famous flat-pack box.
And that's really the heart of it. IKEA didn't succeed in spite of its limitations, it succeeded because of them. Their big no to complexity became their winning ticket in the entire global furniture market.
This is such a great illustration of how trade-offs can totally shake up an industry. You had the traditional car companies, and they were stuck with these huge dealer networks, a deep commitment to gas engines, and a focus on hardware. Tesla came along and said no to all of it. They went direct to consumer, committed 100% to electric, and built a car that was, at its core, a computer on wheels. Those trade-offs completely redefined the game.
Okay, one more really powerful example for you. In-N-Out Burger. Their menu is famously tiny, just a handful of items. They refuse to franchise in a way that might compromise their quality, and they don't do delivery. Now compare that to McDonald's, with its gigantic menu and massive global delivery network. In-N-Out's no creates this premium position and an almost cult-like customer following. Meanwhile, McDonald's is competing by trying to be everything for everyone. Two totally different strategies, all born from very different trade-offs.
So how do we make all this practical? Let's build a little checklist you can actually use. And this isn't just for CEOs either. You can apply these same ideas to your team, your projects, or hey, even your own career path.
So the natural question is, okay, how do you actually start making these kinds of powerful choices yourself? How do you figure out your own no?
Here's a practical checklist to get you started. Begin asking these questions. Who is our ideal customer? That's important, sure, but the follow-up is absolutely critical. And who is not? Or, my personal favorite, what must we eliminate, not just improve? This question forces you to subtract, not just add more stuff. Always remember, the sharper your no, the more powerful your yes becomes.
And definitely be on the lookout for these red flags. When you start hearing phrases like, oh, we serve everyone, or, well, our competitor just launched that, so we need it too, those should be massive alarm bells going off. They signal a really reactive mindset and, honestly, a deep fear of making a real choice. This is the language of strategic confusion.
All right, let's bring it all home. The core idea here is that true strategy is a lot like sculpture. It's defined by the pieces of stone you chisel away. Making those trade-offs is what creates the focus and the identity you need to execute brilliantly. The most enduring, strongest companies, they aren't always the biggest, they're the most precise. They know exactly who they are and, just as importantly, who they are not.
And I'll leave you with this one last thought. Your strategy isn't a long list of initiatives and features. It's not about all the things you include, it's about what you have the courage and the discipline to leave out. So, what are you brave enough to exclude?